Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, July 8th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. And also for those of you that trade Bitcoin, I will do a bonus analysis at the end. First off, a few things. Number one, if you would like for me to do an analysis on a stock that you're in, go ahead and comment down below. I'll do my best to get to it. No promises, but I will definitely try my best. So like I said, comment down below. Second, this candle that you see right there will still be moving around and changing. That's because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then finally, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one, ticker symbol KOSS. This thing made quite the move today. Had some halts in it and definitely a nice little pattern here taking shape as we head into next week. So let's get this pattern mapped out. And let me be very clear, I'm not trying to press you. I'm not trying to suggest that this is some sort of great discovery on my part or special skill. No, a lot of people have noticed this pattern. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can definitely produce some very dynamic movements. And let me get this changed to green to represent the support part of the pattern, maybe make it easier to see. Let's just keep it all one color here. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big upwards move right here. For you golfers, try to make it a little bit more visual, put the golf hole down here. This would be a bull pennant pattern. So again, there are no guarantees, but is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price chops around and then comes up here and breaks to the top part of the pattern, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is absolutely a possibility. So if you like this price range, you like bull pennant patterns, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, ticker symbol MAXN. Talked about this one back on Wednesday. Remember, the markets were closed on Thursday for Independence Day. But you can see here that, as I talked about, sideways movement was suggesting maybe, just maybe, this is some sort of bottom forming. And yeah, now we got the price working its way back upwards. Still work to be done, but again, even that amount of movement right there, when you consider the price range from a percentage standpoint, that adds up pretty quickly. But point here being, in fact, let me just zoom this over so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. You can see the nice surge up. So first rule in charting is that when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So ideally moving forward, you now want to see the price stay up above 0.222. And not the end of the world if the price falls below there, but what you don't want to see happening is for the price to come down there and then break down below, because what would that be doing to the price? Well, at that point, that is literally putting the price back inside of this range that it just broke out of. And assuming you're bullish, you don't want to see the price going back to where it was. You want to at least see it making progress. Progress being if it came down here, bounced around it, and then headed back up, because then at that point, you'd have a low right there. You'd have that low down there. And if you envision each of those as stair steps, you'd have stair steps progressing in the upwards direction. So to me, 0.222, very, very important level in terms of areas of resistance. So if this upwards move is going to continue, next key battleground to watch very closely, going to be right here at the 0.277 mark. So keep an eye on that. If you look back here, you can see acted as resistance, and then that's where it got rejected in the late afternoon here. But like I said, all things considered, especially when you figure where it started on the day to where it's at right now, nice movement. Does it continue into next week? Let's see what happens. Next one, SIRI, good solid movement to start the day. I mean, when you factor in that opening 30-minute candle right there, huge explosion, broke up through that area of resistance. The problem is on the pullback, it just couldn't quite sustain itself. So let me be very clear. I'm not saying that it couldn't sustain itself from a big picture standpoint. Big picture standpoint, you can see here, the trend is still plenty in the bull's favor. I'm just making that comment from the reference point of, the chart would have looked a whole lot better had the price come down here and then bounced around on top of that former breakout area. It just didn't do it though. It fell back below it. Therefore, this 377 mark is still going to be considered an area of resistance. Now, I would fully agree that it's a much weakened level of resistance, but still a level of resistance nonetheless. So yes, all I'm saying in terms of kind of a shame is just from the very, very narrow standpoint, because from the broad standpoint, as you saw, the price is still in a very clear uptrend. I mean, you have the 50 period moving average, nice strong upslope. You have the 200 period moving average, that pink line, nice upslope there. You have the higher lows. So big picture wise, nothing wrong. Just more so annoying from the shorter standpoint of things that the price got the breakout and couldn't quite maintain that consolidation. It fell back below. But like I said, big picture wise, everything is still fully in the bull's favor. Next one here, QLGN, and this one's looking pretty shaky, but for you longer time viewers, you know what I'm going to say next. There can be opportunity in the ugly, and yeah, this is a pretty ugly chart when you consider that at one point the price was all the way up there, and true story to think some poor souls bought right there. And then after that, it has just basically been pulling back all day long. So there's no doubt about it, this downwards channel has formed, but it's still now getting into the area of, you have some interesting moving averages. Specifically that purple line, keyword being moving average, because as time goes by next week, that line is going to move itself higher and higher and get more and more relevant. So while nothing is guaranteed, my point here is it is more than plausible to think that the price could come down here and then at some point find some support and bounce back upwards. And that could be one of those moments when people are waving the white flag of this thing is so ugly, oh look, it's getting even more ugly, and then all of a sudden it turns around. And I think if you have any experience, we've all been there, where it's like, oh, I get out and now the price goes in my direction. And that's one of those moments where you got to think that could potentially happen right there. So if you like to play these relatively ugly charts, but they're approaching some key levels, keep an eye on it, especially if you like penny stocks. Next one, NVDA, and I think this one's pretty straightforward, at least in my opinion, in terms of the level that will need to be broken up through and maintained above. And that's right here at the 128.30 mark. I'm just trying to find a middle ground because I realized right there, price didn't quite hit it, actually went above it, So 128.30, going to be a level for that, broadly speaking, is where the sellers are very clearly hanging out. But if the price can come up there, break up through it, then more than logical to think that that could create more momentum, and that could, create another round of, and who knows, you could have some shorts with some stops up there, which is going to create that much more buying. But from a breakout standpoint, 128.30 going to be that key level. And then from a support standpoint, it really, in the very near term, you have a bull pennant pattern. Quickly draw that there. So there's the bull pennant, very near term. But even if the price would have fallen down below that bull pennant, you still do have that 50-period moving average on their purple line that, preferably speaking, you would want to see the price stay above. But all things considered, good solid day today. Got the nice pattern here headed into next week. So it's really just a question of, can the price break the pattern, get up through that 128.30 mark, and if so, how much momentum does that generate? Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box, or if you're watching at my website, there's an area right there on the webpage you can use to sign up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. Next one, TSLA, Tesla, and not a whole lot to say other than broken record mode. Higher highs and higher lows, which has been the case for the past couple of weeks as Tesla, just to think that not that long ago, this thing was down below $200 and now it's up here. So in the nearer term, I'll squeeze things in. But yeah, from the big picture standpoint, just realize that everything is still completely fine and even looking better because once again, it's putting those higher highs and higher lows. But in the near term here, the key level from a resistance standpoint to keep an eye on is going to be that resistance trend line right there. And then let's map out the bottom part of the trend line. Come on now. There we go. We have that lower trend line. Let's change that to green. And then, yes, maybe you see where I'm headed with this, but we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern in the very near term right here. But really, it's been one bull pennant after another, because this thing keeps putting those higher highs and higher lows every single day. Now, in the broader standpoint, in the very near term, you want to see the price stay above that green line there. But from the broader sense, if the price were to fall below there, not the end of the world, because as long as the price continues to stay above that purple line there, then everything is fully in the bull's favor. But yes, in the very near term, I would call this a bull pennant pattern. Next one here, XHG, and another one of these situations where, there's no doubt about it, this thing's looking pretty ugly. The price at one point was all the way up here. Now it's dropped all the way down here. But this is where things get interesting because the price has at least started to go sideways. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because there is a collapse and just because the price is now going sideways does not mean for sure guaranteed this is the bottom. My point, as it's been, is it becomes a whole lot more plausible. Case in point, if the price was still just dropping, and I'm sitting here saying, hey, it's looking like this could be the bottom, you'd be totally justified to say, what are you talking about? Based on what? The price is literally going straight down. But that's not the case here. It is actually going sideways. So does that mean a bottom? It doesn't. But does that mean that it's worth maybe at least keeping an eye on? If this thing's, selling pressure is done and this thing could snap back upwards? Yeah. If you like those sorts of scenarios, then this is one that I definitely put on your watch list. Next one here, BENF. I'm going to go through this one very quickly because you've heard me talk about this pattern already several times. And it is indeed another bull pennant pattern. And just because I can't help myself, let me just keep it all one color. So we have resistance, we have support, we have explosive move right here, we have golf hole down here. So it's really as straightforward as that. If you like stocks down below $10, you like bull pennant patterns, definitely keep an eye on BENF. Next one, ZAPP. A little tricky to talk about, because there's perspectives. I mean, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, you bought right there, your plan was to buy and sell within 3 minutes. Well, then yes, from that perspective, the chart is an absolute train wreck. But from the bigger picture point of view, even with today's pullback, think about where the lows were at. The lows were right here. Where were the previous lows? Right there. Where were the previous lows? Down here. And if you envision those as stair steps, big picture-wise, stair steps still clearly in the upwards direction. Again, I'm trying to emphasize big picture because I get it. If you're a day trader and you bought right there, you don't care about these stair steps. So that's why I'm trying to distinguish between big picture and something that cares about more so the narrow point of view. Now, in terms of the very near term, key level of resistance that stands out to me right here at, give or take, this $4.32 mark. And then the ideal level of support, meaning, what would make it look the healthiest and strongest going forward. Certainly if the price can stay above the 342 mark. But again, as I've said in other ones, from the overarching standpoint, as long as the price stays above that purple line, as the line itself moves higher and higher, then the overall trend is still plenty in the bull's favor. Next one, TQQQ, and not a whole lot can be said about this one as just it continues to grind higher and higher today and even on Wednesday, the half day. Not as much volume out there, so just slow and steady grind in the upwards direction. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. First update comes about based on the rule when levels of resistance are broken and closed above. You want to see them act as support, and that would be the ideal level. Again, what would make the chart look the best? Staying up above 79.40. But as I've said, from the big picture point of view, as long as the price stays above that purple line, the overall trend is still completely in the bull's favor. And then to zoom in here and look very closely, I think even as I speak, there's a breakout occurring. Yeah, so the highs were right there at 81.83, and you can see as I speak right now, price is doing battle with these. So even if it doesn't close above it, it's still essentially closing right at these highs. So it's looking like this thing is on the brink of putting in higher highs again. So yeah, if you're a fan of the NASDAQ, if you're long the NASDAQ, then yes, this thing has been an absolute beast over the past couple of weeks. I will get to Bitcoin here in just a second, but for you stock traders, again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about the tool, how you can and should be used to build consistency and manage that risk, get signed up for the class next week. It'll be Thursday, July 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is a genuine live event. So I say that because there's a question and answer, so bring questions, and I will be happy to answer them live for you. Now let's talk some Bitcoin. One quick disclosure here. I am now looking at the 4-hour time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 4 hours instead of 30 minutes, and that is because Bitcoin's open 24/7, and I want this analysis to remain relevant for as long as possible. But needless to say, it's been a rough past couple of days, just has really collapsed, and the first update here is when levels of support are broken, they tend to act as resistance. And I'm going to just use this line to pretty much kind of guide over the weekend analysis. I mean, let's just say you're watching this video Saturday, Sunday afternoon. Question number one you need to ask yourself is, where's the price at relative to 58,400? If you're answering the question that the price is up above there, then that means Bitcoin is having a very good weekend, even if it's just simply right there, because that would be implying that this bounce, which is underway, is not a dead cat. It's continued, and it's continued enough to fight up through a level of resistance. So even if it's right around there, that still makes sure, like I said, that the bounce continued, got stronger, and is maintaining itself. So any sort of answer of the price being above 58,400, a good sign for Bitcoin over the weekend. Now, if you're saying, well, Clay, the price is down below that level, next the immediate question goes, okay, well, where's the price at relative to that area down there at 53,500? Because that is the key level of support for no fancy reason other than the fact that that's just simply where the bleeding finally stopped today. If you're saying, well, Clay, the price is actually down below 53,500, that's just telling you that this bounce right here was a dead cat bounce and it's rolled over and in fact gone back down. How bad of a move? Well, how far down below 53,500 is it? The further down below, the worse the rollover has become. Or if you're just saying, well, no, Clay, the price is somewhere in between these levels, well, then at that point, you could use one word for that action, and that would just be consolidation. So use those levels, walk yourself through those questions, and that'll keep Bitcoin and this analysis relevant all weekend long. And as I invited the stock traders, I'm inviting you as a Bitcoin and crypto trader, go get signed up for this free live class, because what you learn about can and definitely should be used within the world of crypto and Bitcoin. So like I said, it'll be next week, Thursday, July 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and bring your questions. As like I said, there will be a live question and answer session. As far as the top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, do a couple things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment down below. Like I said, if you have a request, please leave that below, or just tell me what your watch list is for next week. So thanks for watching. Go get signed up for that free class. Have a great weekend.